Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Show. Man, this is way too much fun for a Saturday, let me tell you.
I love that intro.
We're
can't-
live now.
The crew is taking your calls.
Which we are, actually.
We are.
800-808-5548. Give us a call. One of the things we're talking about in the break just now is we're sort of transition. We started off with Doug Erdy, who's still here in the studio, Doug Erdy in the house. And, then we went over to Guillen Homes. And now we're actually going to be talking about a couple things in regards to new versus resale. Starting off with, obviously, some of the inspection side of things.
Yeah.
And, it's very important. In fact, I want Doug to really fast chime in on this. How important is it to get a home inspection on a new and or a resale home?
It's by far the most important aspect of the purchase. If it's a new home or a resale, the inspection is the most important item, by far.
A lot of times you wouldn't think, it's a brand new home. What am I having inspected?
Right, and and that's not the case. You need to have a home inspection, whether it be new
the builder
or resale.
does
Oh my gosh! Can't believe you just said
the
that.
inspector passed out over here.
The inspector's now. Yeah, we can't get
Wake
him on
him
the
up.
air right now.
Wake
He just
him up. Give
passed
him some
out with what
salt.
you said. But introduce our guest right there because we have a great
Absolutely.
home inspector.
Well, you know what? We have a brand new sponsor on the show, and he's been a guest of the show before. We brought him on long before he was a sponsor. We brought him on as an expert because he's somebody that we've always liked. He hangs out with us. He's one of our cigar group, mastermind groups. We always hang out with talent. The Rat Pack hangs out with talent, baby. So we are introducing a brand new sponsor today. They're going to be up on our website, logo, and all that sort of thing, so you'll know where to find them. But we're bringing in Ashley Bowles today. Ashley, so say hello to everybody out there. Come on up. We got to share mics over here. We got too many people in the studio.
Yes.
Hey, everybody. This is Ashley Bowles with A.B. Bowles Home Inspections. I wanted to start off, we're talking about new homes and old homes. So
Resales, they are not
resale.
old homes.
Okay, resale homes. Resale. Well, for instance, yesterday I did a brand new house. When I'm doing the inspection, I went outside, took a look at the AC unit. Sure enough, it's a solid block of ice. It just wasn't working. So
It was not a Guillen home, though. I want you to know that right now. So let's talk about, Ashley, briefly about, okay, we put a contract on a house to be built. The slab hadn't even poured yet. Tell us how you inspect those homes and in what phases that you inspect those homes.
well, when you go out to do a pre-concrete or pre-pour, things you're looking for is you're looking for different aspects about where the grade beams are, whether or not it's a post-tension slab. If you have post-tension cables going underneath your plumbing, after they do the pour, you're not going to see it. They tension them. And what can happen is you could possibly break your main sewer lines underneath the house. Some of your plumbing can be damaged. You also have to check and make sure that there's the proper moisture barrier underneath. And that protects moisture from coming up inside your concrete. So if you don't have it there and moisture gets in comes up through the concrete, you could possibly start getting mold underneath your floors and not even know it.
Yeah, we don't have enough to worry about here in Houston, Texas.
Right.
Let's have to worry about that, too. So how many phases during construction, and tell me exactly what the delineating phases are in inspections?
Typically, we go in. It's a pre-pour, pre-concrete inspection is your first. Then we like to come back, and it's a pre-sheetrock. So you go in, check out the framing and the structure of the actual house. Make sure that things are where they're supposed to be. Electrical is ran properly, that it has the staples, and it's protected. Same with the plumbing. You don't want to have your pipes too close to the front of the stud, and then when you're driving your sheetrock screws in and hanging your sheetrock, well, you punch a hole in your plumbing line, well, it kind of seals for a little while. And then all of a sudden...
Until you buy the house.
That's right, until you buy the house.
And run water through it.
But eventually that screw will rust, and then you have a leak inside your house, and you're trying to figure out what happened, because they are supposed to put a protective plate on the stud. And then the final inspection is the final, just before you walk or just after you walk, go in, we test all the systems, all your mechanical systems, AC, electrical, lighting, different appliances, make sure all the windows are functioning and everything is the way it's supposed to, and that's about it.
I'm going to tell you something. It's pretty interesting listening to you talk right here, because the one thing that happens in a real estate transaction, I hear it all the time. My realtor's out there, and Rob, you know what? I know after the show, by the way, your next big thing is resale versus old.
They're not old.
But one of the things, the two biggest things my realtors are always telling me is, let's just get past two things, the appraisal and the inspection.
Well, we don't have to worry about that.
Right, Doug? Am I not lying
we
on
don't
that?
have to worry about the appraisal if it doesn't get through inspections. I can
That
tell you
is
right
correct.
now.
And so, that's what I was going to say is, one of the things that real estate depends upon is a good inspection. And, and one of the things, the reason why, for two reasons. If you are representing a buyer from a realtor perspective, you want to make sure that home has everything that's required based on the price you're paying for. And if you are selling that property and you happen to be the listing agent, you want to make sure that you're going to get the most amount of value and that the home has not a lot of deferred maintenance to be able to sell it for the maximum value. So it's a very important step in that process.
And a great inspector is very important. And a lot of people think, well, realtors don't want you to find things. I want someone to find everything that's wrong with this house. And I actually have a little 30-second elevator speech about there's not going to be a perfect home. And when the inspector writes the report, it is not going to be a love sonnet. It's going to make it sound like the house is falling down. Is that pretty much what you're finding out there? You want them to find out?
Yeah, you want a very detailed report, and a lot of folks think that it's going to bust out or the deal's going to fall through, but 99% of the deals always stay together, even though there are repairs being made.
Well, that's one thing I'm waiting to find is the perfect house.
Have you found one yet?
You haven't found it yet?
Not yet.
That from a buying standpoint, I was shocked the first time I saw the home inspection report. You kind of have that, oh my God, should I buy this house?
This house is falling down.
Yeah.
Well,
I was going to say, and it's, I had the inspector that explained that whole process again. Look, these are not all going to be critical issues with the house. We're going to prioritize the things that are issues, things that do need to be addressed, and you'll want to make sure, if you're buying a resale, that the seller is going to address or take care of. You want to negotiate this stuff. But there's tons of things on here that I'm just pointing out that aren't perfect.
And the good thing about Ashley is that he of course, is a very detailed. He is very calm when he tells people. He's going to tell them what's wrong with the house, and then kind of explain, this is what it is, but they can understand that it's not major. I always figure if a house has good bones, everything else is pretty much fixable.
Agreed.
Well, a lot of the times we're governed by TREC, so there's
That's
certain
Texas Real Estate
things-
Commission too. Everybody out there.
Yes, well, we have to write up certain things, and sometimes a house was built before certain codes were in place, so we can't really expect the upgrades. People to make upgrades on something that they bought that was to code at the time that it was.
Yeah, what are the typical things they find? I know, fault interrupters and stuff like that.
A lot of times we have arc fault interrupters are missing. They're in your panel. They're an actual breaker, and they're for protection. They're a safety issue in some cases. They're not mandatory to have in older homes, but we have to write it up as inspectors that they're not in place.
Ash, I was going to ask you a question. Do you approach a new home different than you do a resale home? No.
Not really. I'd go through my inspection as if every house is the same. I go through and I document the exact same things. I check the exact same things on a brand new house as I would on an existing home or a resale home. Just so I do because I want to make sure that it's a thorough inspection to find anything that's.
And then on a new home, and you're inspecting, what are the typical things that you're finding that are not done correctly?
Sometimes it's mostly things that they have missed, because you can't always the builder is out there, they're doing the best job they can, but there's so many people working on this one project. If somebody misses something, that's what I'm usually finding. Like there's little patches that go around on your concrete. There's it's a post tension slab. Well, they have to be able to put tension on the cable that goes through the slab. And sometimes I'll walk around the house and I find them still exposed. They're supposed to patch them with cement so that they don't rust out. And a lot of times I'll find that they're deficient, or there'll be a broken window because they're doing construction in there. Things happen. Those are typical things that I would find on a new home.
Are you finding in the framing aspect of it that they're doing anything substandard in framing, or have you ever seen anything like that? Because I have seen it in my past. That's why I'm asking that question.
I've seen them. I've gone in, and the shear wall hasn't been, the sheathing on the outside of the shear wall hasn't been put in place, or there's been missing braces that should be there, and that's to stop the house from swaying back and forth and for movement, from wind, and that's why they call it a shear wall, because it's a shear wind wall, which will stop help.
And that's typically like a DSB board that's put to the corners at the
Yes.
corners. Isn't that correct?
And another thing that I'm finding too is usually on roofs I find exposed nails. They're either in the field of the shingles or around the vent flashing. That is something that I typically find.
I thought those were installed to discourage squirrels.
And let me tell you, I can tell you one thing for me. I didn't get into real estate till about 10 years ago, but I bought my first home probably about 13, 14 years ago. And typical, new home buyer felt that an inspection on my new home wasn't required. Well, you know what I found out 4 years later? That by me not doing that, I was not my inspector did not find that they did not put the hurricane clips on my home. And because the hurricane clips weren't on there, I started creating a gap in the front of my facade of my home that most people thought was a foundation issue, when it really wasn't a foundation issue. The hurricane clips weren't put on there, and so it started creating a separation. So, the one thing I tell everybody is if you're out there, you're buying a home, whether it be a resale home or a brand-new home, let me tell you, there's a lot of stuff that we can't see. Builders build a very good home, but as you mentioned right there, they also use a lot of different labor. They use different crews, different people. They use different subcontractors. They can't catch everything. Your inspector is going to be able to go out there and be the eyes and ears that you do not and cannot see on a day-to-day basis because of what goes on.
Yeah, real quickly, Doug, do you get your people to do inspections on brand new homes?
We try to. A lot of folks don't want to put that expense out, but yeah, we really, really try to.
Yeah, because a lot of people are the same thinking is that why do I need an inspection? It's brand new.
It's mind blowing.
I agree.
That's one of those. I get the not spending money, but it's mind blowing not to invest in the most expensive thing that the average person's ever going to buy that you wouldn't go through having it really checked out.
Ashley, how do we reach you, by the way?
You can set up an appointment with me by calling me. My number's 832-306-3723.
That is awesome. We're coming against a break right now. Again, go look for Ashley on our website, on our Facebook, on our fan page, etc. We definitely want you to use them if you're buying or selling a home and need a good home inspector. In the meantime, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
If this is just the beginning, my life is gonna be